Yes, you read the description correctly. We are going to be taking this 305 cubic inch base small block and turning it into a 340 cubic inch small block Chevy. Now, this engine is already 334 cubic inches. It is a 305 that has been bored 30 over with a 3.75 inch crank. We are now going to be turning it up just a little bit more, going to 60 over pistons with this 3.75 inch crank. Now, in all reality, you may be thinking you're just going to board another 30 over and that's basically it. No, literally everything on this engine is going to be different. And I got a lot of parts that I'm going to show you here that is going to be going into this engine to turn it into kind of a sluggish 334. It's not really sluggish. I mean, it has way more power than the original 305 that was in it did. However, it's kind of, well, it's not kind of, it is a budget build that I did on this, and we're just going to be taking it to that next step. Now, the main reason that I'm doing this is, to be honest, there's nothing really wrong with this engine, but it is leaking oil. It's leaking oil because the original cam that I had in this budget build, it wiped a lifter. I was using a comp lifter and it was just not good. And it kind of started eating a lobe on the camshaft, and so I pulled the camshaft out. And I did it while it was in the car, so I didn't even drop the pan. I just unbolted the timing chain, pulled it back out. My granddad told me that's how he used to do it, and I said, so how do you get the timing chain cover back on and to seal up to the oil pan? He's like, yep, that's the trick. And that's all he told me. And I guess I didn't learn the trick because I now have a massive oil leak coming from in between the timing chain cover and the oil pan. I don't know how well you can see in there, but yeah, especially when you run this car for long periods of time, it just flings oil all over the engine bay. Kind of see there's some right here. Just pulling it up. There's just hazing all over the chrome in here. Now look, see, you can tell it's oily. It's just covered up in here. And it burns off the headers quite a bit too, so my engine bay looks smoky quite a bit of time after it's ran for a while. And one of the most important reasons is I have smoked the transmission that is behind this engine. There's now metal in the fluid. The clutches are basically gone. I think I started eating a gear, so we're going to be pulling out that 700R4 and putting a new one in. This one, to be exact. I'm about to put a Transgo reprogramming kit into it. That includes a shift kit. We're also going to install a Corvette servo, and it's going to get a 3000 stall converter. But that's not why you're watching this video. I want to show you everything that we are going to be putting onto this 305. So we will start from basically the bottom of the engine and we will work our way up. This is a 6-quart oil pan. It's got a windage tray in it, and it's supposed to be clearance for a 3.875 stroke, I think. So this will be just fine with the crankshaft that we're running. A little more oil capacity, and hopefully it'll reduce some of the power loss from oil with the windage tray. So yeah, that's what we're going to be running. I'll probably end up go ahead and spray painting this the same Pontiac red color as the engine block. Moving on up from there, we have a Melling Shark Tooth oil pump. I've heard a lot of really good things about these oil pumps, and I'm real excited to try it out. It's supposed to increase pressure and volume because of the gears that are in it. So I think this will be a good fit. Because we have a new oil pump, we now have a new oil pump pickup. This is supposed to be the correct size and length for the new oil pan as well. Of course, we will double check that and make sure that we have plenty of clearance and we're not going to starve the engine at all for oil when we get into assembly. So we'll make sure that that is the correct one, but that should work. This next part isn't here yet. It's going to be soon, but I got a set of ARP main studs for the mains. And then one of my favorite pieces. This is a Scat forged 3.7-inch stroke crankshaft. I'm going to have to go ahead and get that rebalanced with all the connecting rods and pistons and everything to make sure that, we don't want any weird vibrations or anything. So we have to get a whole new rotate and assembly balanced. But this is really awesome. It's a nitride hardened, weighs about 50 pounds. This is a unit. And because it is internal balance, we now have an internally balanced flex plate as well. For the harmonic balancer, I'm just going to rob the one that's off the engine in here. It's an adjustable one, so you can put weights in it or remove the weights, depending on if it's external or internal balance. So I'm going to reuse that. And then these are the connecting rods. Now, don't give me crap for it being Speedmaster, all right? I'm planning on only running somewhere between 450 maybe 480 horsepower to the crank, and 7,000 RPM. The rods that I got are supposedly good for 1,000 horsepower and 8,200 RPM. I doubt that, but this is kind of a cheaper forged steel connecting rod, 4340 chromoly steel. They've been shot peened. I got these guys for about $400 for a set of 8. I think for the application that I'm running, these will be more than enough, and definitely better than the stock rods that are in my 305 right now. Like I said, they're shot peened, but that is a 7/16 bolt and a bronze bushing. They're pretty nice. I like these. They have a good feel to them, but yeah, I-beam. Pistons and rings also on their way. But I got a set of flat tops with 5cc valve reliefs. Should be nice. They're forged from DSS. Should be a good combo with all this. I'm going to be getting rid of that double roller timing chain and upgrading to this timing gear set. Going to be a little noisy, but you know, I've always wanted one of these, and I think it would sound cool. So I finally decided just to pull the trigger, and this is what we're going with. And that timing gear is going to be mated to this. This is the Summit 1125 camshaft. Here's the cam card. I'll show you. Whew. Sorry. Feel free to take a pause and take a look at that if you want. Anyways, solid lifter cam, flat tap it. But I'm real excited for this. I feel like this is going to have a real nice, unique sound to it, and it's going to operate in the higher RPMs. I'm really excited for this, if I haven't made that clear. I've wanted to go solid cam for a while, and now I'm gonna do it. And then the lifters that are going to be mated to that camshaft are these guys. These are from Crower. I got even a little oiling hole in there. But from what I understand, these are probably one of the best solid lifter tappets that you can get for a flat tappet camshaft. So I did spend a little bit more money on these guys. We'll see how they do, because if I wipe this cam, I'm going to be really sad. But at the end of the day, it's a flat tappet, so if it wipes, it can be replaced pretty easily. And then we got these guys. What can I say about these heads? These are the TrickFlow 175s. Probably the best performance head that you can get for a, for a 305 based engine or 307. So they rock a 194 intake, 1.5 exhaust. This is a 175cc intake chamber, and I believe the exhaust is 62 cc's, something like that. These are going to be amazing. I cannot wait to actually have a nice set of aluminum heads that actually produces a lot more power than my 416 heads. So this is what the camshaft is going to make breathe. And yeah, I'm super pumped for these. They're really nice. Yeah, money. A lot of money on this table. This Y-end single plane, I think this is the accelerator or whatever. Yeah, accelerator. This single plane intake is what is going to top off the engine. It's actually my first time dealing with a single plane intake. I'm interested to see how it's going to be. Then again, I am mainly going to be using this whole engine, transmission, rear end setup to be doing more drag racing than, around town driving. So we'll see how this goes. It's not a high-rise intake at all. It is lower, so I am interested to see, you know, how it is going to perform, but it's still a nice unit, and a lot of people who run them say they like them a lot, so I'll give it a shot. And then to top it all off is my new 750 double pumper brawler. Yeah, that's a nice piece right there. All of this is gonna look awesome together. Now, you know, I have gaskets and bearings and stuff like that. I guess you guys don't really care about, you know, the small stuff like that. But I will give you the specs of the engine. Once this is all said and done, it should be making somewhere between 450, maybe to 500, somewhere in the 450 to 500 range for horsepower, and probably high 300s for torque. Okay, now I'm getting those numbers off of a similar build that was done by Power Nation. They used some different heads to produce their 516, I believe it was, horsepower number. They went up to the TrickFlow 195s, which has a 202 valve, but they had to notch the valve or the cylinder walls to make those valves fit. And to me, that just sounds like a little bit of extra shrouding that could potentially hurt airflow. So take that with a grain of salt. You know, that seems like a lot of work for something that could maybe not actually produce better results. And those 195cc heads actually flow only 10% more than the 175 heads do. So maybe with a little less shrouding effect going on with the 194 valves, maybe it'll produce something similar. Compression ratio is going to be about 11.1 to 1 for my static. My dynamic is going to be about 8.12 to 1. So I should still be safe to run pump gas, especially with those aluminum heads. I think this thing is going to be a lot of fun. It may even blow up this transmission because I'm doing nothing to the internals of that thing. I'm just slapping a shift kit in it, a higher stall, and a Corvette servo and saying, let's go. All right, the reason why the one that's in the car now failed is it drained a lot of fluid out and I wasn't really aware, and then stuff just started breaking. So I'm estimating that this thing probably puts out maybe somewhere around the 290 to 310 to the wheels in the configuration that it's in now, with the 416 ported heads, the intake manifold that I'm running, the carburetor, all of that stuff. And it's only got, I want to say like 9.8 or 9.9 to 1 compression, somewhere in there. So upping compression, upping induction, all of that stuff. I think 450 to 480, I would like to see the 500 number to the crank is, you know, doable in my application. But time will tell and we will see. Now, for all of you out there that are going to tell me you're putting all this money into a 305, la la la, da da da, stuff like that, right? First of all, I really don't care what you think about my engine build, okay? This engine is sentimental to me because it is my first build, and I want to take it to that next step and give it what it deserves to be. Am I going to keep the 340 in this car forever? No. I have plans for a 427 small block way down the line, and that's after I do everything I want to the car. You know, tubular K-member, control arms, stuff like that. You know, subframe connectors, maybe a Ford 9-inch rear, swap over to a manual transmission. When the car eventually gets down the line to that, that's when the 340 will be pulled and we'll go on to something bigger. But until then, I want to take my baby and make it what it deserves to be, which should be a higher compression 305 that is going to tick a lot of people off when they find out it's just a 305 based engine. So if this is something that you think that you'd like to watch, because we have a lot of work to do, feel free to subscribe. We have a bunch of stuff coming here. As soon as I'm done upgrading that 700R4 that's sitting on the stand over there, I'm going to start yanking this thing out, getting it torn down, taking it to the machine shop, all that type of stuff, and then build it back up and get it put back into the car. I'm hoping to do this within, you know, a few months, because I do have some stuff this summer that I need the car for, and I would like it if it's ready to go. If this video interests you, go check out the last video I just uploaded. We just completely redid the entire front suspension on the car, took off some old parts, made them look nice, do all this type of stuff. Got new brakes, new pads, new rotors, new pads, put in brand new springs and struts, all that type of stuff. Had a lot of fun doing it. I think I did decent work on it, but then again, I'm just a guy in a garage, you know, just having fun. So, thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.